Today's generation is right now living in the inevitable months leading right up to the final 7-year tribulation. And this is my first of 8 points, being that the actual start of the 7-year tribulation is literally the next major end-time prophecy to occur and the key to watch for at this time. This is a tangible and undeniable reality which is crystallized and framed at Heisnear.com with headline news which overwhelmingly confirm all final prophecies, including Antichrist, on the world stage today as being in their foretold places right now. In fact, the next scheduled meeting between the Vatican and Israel in their current unprecedented negotiations is next month in June of 2013. My second point is that from this point on, and not until after the 7-year tribulation begins, will there be any more major all-out wars between the major superpowers. This is because all key nations foretold for today's end times, like Russia, China, Israel, Iran, and a few others, are now at their readied apex to make their one last end-time move militarily. Any new military conflicts, even with Israel, from now and leading up to the start of the tribulation, will be minor in scale and short-lived, compared to the one final major Mideast war which is coming after the tribulation starts. My third point is that only rumors of wars will take place from this point on until after the tribulation begins. These threats of war will get louder, as heard from leaders like Ahmadinejad and Kim Jong-un, and now Syria's Bashar al-Assad against Israel, and will only heighten the world's fears and readiness for the spotlight to suddenly shine upon the papacy of Rome, Antichrist, and Israel in their coming 7-year agreement for Mideast peace. My fourth point is that right after the 7-year tribulation begins, then the first tangible bloodshed to occur, although not an actual war, will be the red horse of Revelation 6:4. I've elaborated on this in the recent video named Bible Proof 1.5 Billion Muslims to Die, which details a fourth of the earth being killed in the first months of the 7-year tribulation, resulting in shock and awe to this generation as never seen in human history. Revelation 6:4 also states of the red horse that peace will be taken from the earth, which, although this is a short phrase, is actually a huge statement. This means worldwide, even in the USA, there will be a sudden and recognizable outbreak of lawlessness in nations and cities and even anarchy in places, although the final one all-out war will not have started just yet. In fact, the red horse's coming holocaust and global fear which accompanies it was addressed by Jesus when he stated that at that time, quote, men will be fainting from fear, and their hearts will fail from the expectation of what's coming upon the earth. This is Luke chapter 21, verse 26. My fifth point is that in the midst of the red horse's bloodshed will come the final foretold all-out Mideast war, which will occur on the mountains of Israel, as shown in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39. Again, prophecies indicate this will take place within months of the tribulation start. In fact, Ezekiel's war is the only remaining all-out major war to occur at this point on before Christ's return, and is rightly synonymous with the term World War III. Specifically, Russia, along with Iran, Turkey, and other Muslim nations, will attack Israel on her own mountains only to meet their one-day decimation by Israel's miraculous military machine. Israel's victory will also be by God's divine hand, who himself has stated in Ezekiel 38, verse 23, saying, "On that day I will sanctify myself, exalt myself, and make myself known among many nations." At that point, persons who still are so rebellious and blind so as to not see God and his mighty hand in Ezekiel's specific prophecy being fulfilled in Israel's victory will have missed God's most merciful and greatest outreach for people globally to be saved since the first judgment in the days of Noah. In fact, the first group identified to accept the Lord Jesus Christ right after Israel's one-day war, as also shown in Revelation chapter 6, are the 144,000 Jews of Revelation chapter 7. My sixth point is that right after Israel's one-day major war victory, and since Israel's enemies and military threats are destroyed and out of Israel's way, then Israel will begin building their third temple unhindered. It will be completed before the midpoint of the 7-year tribulation, as Revelation chapter 11 foretells. My 7th point is that the only other so-called all-out war coming is not really a war at all, but just a momentary battle called the Battle of Armageddon. This will take place on the final day of the tribulation, when China's kings of the east will have gathered in Israel's valley of Megiddo, but not to fight Israel, but to face off with Christ at his divine return from heaven, although China's and all remaining global forces meet their immediate demise. Until then, today's superpower China will generally sit still quietly militarily until the very end of the 7-year tribulation, when their time will come also. My 8th and final point is Jesus' major prophetic warning for today's end times. It's recorded in Luke chapter 21, verse 34, when he stated, "Be on guard lest that day of the Lord," meaning the start of the 7-year tribulation, "come upon you suddenly like a trap." This refers to today's generation, who is right now blind to the elephant standing tall in the front room, meaning 7 billion people who are still blind to all end-time prophecies and Antichrist on the world stage today in plain view. Jesus' word "suddenly" has never been louder and more significant as it is today regarding the inevitable horrific events to begin occurring in rapid succession, with the signing of the 7-year Mideast agreement between Israel and the papacy of Rome being Antichrist. Any time left from now until then is by God's mercies, so that as many people as possible will see all these things ready to come upon the earth and to embrace the Lord Jesus Christ.